Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be looking at the AO3, so the evaluation for the types and explanations of conformity. So I just want to also point out as well, in the way that the evaluation is presented, it's just so that it's easier to remember and it's also good to use as a revision tool as well. I think it could be quite off-putting and quite hard to digest if there's a big chunk of text on the screen. So that's why I've presented the AO3 in the way that it's being presented in a short format. So a strength of informational social influence is that there is research support. And this research support is from Lucas et al. So the study from Lucas et al. Was about maths problems. There were questions of varying levels of difficulty, and it was found that there were higher levels of conformity to incorrect answers when the maths problems were deemed to be more difficult. Interestingly, this was evident for students who were less confident in their maths ability. This therefore provides support for informational social influence, as it shows that people are more likely to conform in situations which seem ambiguous to them, and in this context, it is the answers to more difficult maths problems, particularly for students who lack confidence in their maths ability. A strength of normative social influence is that there is also research support, and this support is from Ash's line judging task experiment, in which a high level of conformity was demonstrated. After Ash asked the participants why they agreed with the wrong answer, and they said they wanted to avoid rejection and fit in with the group. Interestingly, when Ash asked the participants to write down their answers privately, conformity decreased to 12.5%. This is therefore a strength of normative social influence, as it clearly demonstrates that the participants were conforming because of the need for social approval and to fit in with the norms, considering conformity was reduced with the private responses. Another strength of informational social influence is that there is more research support. In this study by Genus, participants would be required to provide an estimate of how many beans they thought were in a jar. These estimates were discussed within a group setting, and then participants would provide a second estimate. It was found that the second estimate was more aligned with the estimate of the group. This therefore provides support for informational social influence, as the number of beans estimation is an ambiguous task, meaning that it isn't clear what the right answer would be. Therefore, people may have assumed that others had better information and knowledge, which can explain why the second estimates were closer to the group estimates. A limitation of informational social influence is that there are individual differences. This is supported by both Ash and Perrin and Spencer. Ash indicated that other participants showed more conformity than students did. The figures were 28% of students and 37% of other participants. Perrin and Spencer's sample consisted of engineering students, who would supposedly be better at Ash's line judging task due to their exposure to visual spatial tasks as engineering students, and it was found that there were lower levels of conformity within this sample. This is therefore a limitation to informational social influence, as it shows that if people have greater knowledge and have greater confidence in their abilities, then perhaps they will not respond to informational social influence in the same way. We therefore can't make assumptions that everyone will conform because of informational social influence. We have to accept the fact that there can be differences, as demonstrated by this evidence. A weakness of normative social influence is that there is also individual differences. This is because not everyone cares about being liked or has a desire for social relationships, which could be attributed to different cultures and certain personality traits, such as independence. Individuals who want to be liked have a need for affiliation, social relationships, and being accepted. This is supported by McGee and Teven, who found that the likelihood of conformity was found to be higher in students that could be described as having a high need for affiliation. This is therefore a limitation, as this theory does not consider the fact that people will have different motivations and that some people may not conform for the same reasons, which in this context is to be liked and fit in with the norms. A final limitation is that the two explanations as an approach to explaining conformity can be seen to be simplistic. It is assumed that conformity occurs because of either of these explanations. Although, when there was a dissenter in an Ash-type study, we can't be sure if the reason for the decreased conformity was because of informational social influence or normative social influence. The dissenter would be another source of information, which may have decreased the influence of informational social influence, but they could have also decreased the influence of normative social influence, as the dissenter would have gave social support. This is a limitation, as in this example, it seems that it is not always apparent which explanation is the right one, which also questions whether these concepts function independently.